Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to this video on the Aries New Moon. So this new moon is happening on March the 21st at 1:22 p.m. Eastern Time, and it is marking the beginning of the new astrological year. Just a day prior, we have the sun moving into Aries. Aries being the first sign of the zodiac signals a new beginning, a new chapter, a new energy, and I know this has been a theme I've been speaking about lately, especially in March. March, the word and phrase that comes through is March is a time for blooming. It is a time to bloom. It is the opening of many new cycles. February was a time of completion and closure and a time of becoming aware of things that need to be addressed and resolved and looked at in order to move forward on our new path. And now this new path is here. Like you are beginning a new chapter of your journey. And this is such a powerful time to revisit the intentions that you set at the beginning of this year, the new year in terms of the new calendar year. Revisit those intentions, and you are likely to find that they have been modified. For some of you, they may have a complete redo. You may look at them and say, wow, okay, I now have new information. I have new awareness, and I'm actually changing my focus. But either way, the energies right now are so incredibly supportive for setting your intentions around what you desire to manifest between now and the end of the year. Even more supportive than they were at the beginning of the calendar year, where again, we were putting closure on many things. I found the first couple months of this year had a slightly slower pace. We were still revisiting a lot of themes from the prior year. We were really just wanting some extra rest. But now, with all this Aries energy, and with the big planetary shifts of Saturn now moving into Pisces, Pluto preparing to move into Aquarius, there is so much momentum that is being built. So before I just continue down this path, sharing the incredible guidance that has been coming through, I want to take a moment to share a welcome to anyone who is new here. So my name is Kara, and when I do these cosmic energy readings, I'm studying the astrology, I'm looking at the planetary shifts, but I'm also sharing channel guidance from the Akashic records to help you co-create with this energy in the highest expression, in the highest timeline possible for your journey. And I love to work with the light workers, the healers, the star seeds of this planet, and helping you amplify your impact in the world, confidently share your healing gifts and your message, and receive abundantly for it. So if that resonates with you, be sure that you subscribe. If you get value from these videos, be sure to share them out. This is a time where we are really rising together and understanding the connectedness that we all have with one another. So sharing helpful information just supports us all. It supports the planet. So before I share my screen and we go more into the details of the new moon, there's a little bit of background I want to share to help you understand these energies a little bit more. So at the time of the Virgo full moon, we had Saturn moving into the sign of Pisces for the first time since 96. And this is part of the new chapter, the new energy we are stepping into. So Pisces energy is about transcendence. It's about accessing higher realms of consciousness. It's about who you are beyond this human body, beyond your personality and the roles and the titles that you take on, the labels you may take on. It's who you are beyond the ego. It's who you are on a soul level. It's understanding the bigger picture. Piscean energy is about intuition, accessing the power of your emotions, trusting your heart to guide you. And Saturn coming into this sign brings an element of structure. It's a very different archetypal energy than Pisces. So when they come together, it's very interesting to see how their energies merge. So Saturn brings structure to whatever it touches. So this is about tapping into those big dreams and desires that you hold, maybe the ones that have been buried under fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of success, fear of being too much, asking for too much, and bringing those to the surface and looking at how to manifest them here on the earthly plane, to bring them from just a dream, a desire, something that was held in your imagination into a lived experience, into your new reality. So beautiful, beautiful energies that are going to bring about big transformation for many people on the planet when it comes to understanding your spiritual path and your spiritual gifts, when it comes to understanding grounded spiritual practices, the beauty of being here in human form, yet connected to the wisdom of the cosmos. And when we understand both, oh, there's so much beauty and power in that when we don't deny one of those aspects. We are here, we are human, which means we go through the range of human emotions and experiences and what it means to be here in a physical body. But when we also recognize I am also so much more than that. I have had many incarnations. I have the ability to access so much wisdom. That is when this human journey becomes just so incredibly powerful, when we remember who we are, yet we don't deny that human aspect. So keep in mind that we are at the beginning of this powerful transit. I know so many of my clients are feeling this big shift, this big calling to share their work and their gifts and their message in new ways. And I bet if you're here, you're feeling that too. You're feeling the collective shift and you're feeling the shift internally. So with that being said, we're going to look a little more closely at these new moon energies. I'm going to share my screen. So many of you have expressed that you love seeing the visual of the chart, and it helps you put all the different pieces together here. So this shift here, Saturn into Pisces, is what I was just speaking about at the very early degrees, 1 degree. So the new moon itself is happening over here in Aries. We have the moon and the sun conjunct at 0 degrees of Aries. So let's take a closer look at the Aries archetype, because this is what's being activated by this cosmic shift, by this new moon energy. So Aries is all about leadership. Aries is about courageously following your path. This is the energy of the warrior. One of my favorite quotes or affirmations that I've often shared, it's actually an affirmation that I feel was inspired by the Aries energy, is I am greater than any challenge that comes my way. I will always rise. That's like the epitome of the Aries energy. It's not about denying fear or insecurities or the obstacles, but it's about knowing who you really are. And when you know who you really are, the challenges, the obstacles, they matter less. They don't hold you back. The fear doesn't hold you back because you know you are greater. You know you are greater than them. You know you will always rise. You know you will always come out on top. That is this Aries energy. That is the warrior. And it's activating so much courage within you to say yes to your calling, to say yes to what lights you up, to no longer wait in indecision. Aries energy, being the first sign of the zodiac, is the pioneer. And that's what true leadership is. It isn't stepping back and looking at what everyone else is doing and taking months or years to make changes in our life that we know we are called to make. It's about doing it now. It's about understanding the power of this moment. It's about feeling the fear and yet knowing we can still move toward our goals. We can still take steps. So beautiful energy of motivation, of strength, of courage, of passion, of trusting that gut instinct. Now, because it is the first sign of the zodiac, this also brings the conversation to the self and our identity. So I used to say we can't outperform our belief systems, which is very true. Deeper than that is we can't outperform our identity. So what I mean by that is how we see ourselves dictates the actions we take, the risks that we take, the decisions that we make. We have to have our identity on board with our vision. So if your vision is to, I'm just using an example. Maybe your vision is to say, I am going to run a multiple six-figure business, sharing my healing gifts, making a big difference on this planet. The identity has to be that you are courageous enough to do that. You are intelligent enough to do that, that you are somebody who is worthy of making a lot of money while doing what you love. The identity has to match the vision, or else it is very hard to manifest it. So with all this Aries energy, we also have Mercury at 5 5 degrees of Aries. We have Chiron at 14 and Jupiter at 16. So Aries energy is really being activated, not just with the sun and moon and this lunar energy, but the other planetary placements that are there as well. So looking at what follows the statement, I am, how do you see yourself? How do you describe yourself? And begin to open up to this possibility that you are so much more than those labels. And if you have identities and beliefs and a label that doesn't serve you in your vision, it's time to release that. It's time to tap into your higher self, see through the eyes of your higher self, remember who it is you really are. So the ruler of all this Aries energy, the ruler of this new moon is Mars. So we have Mars over here in the sign of Gemini. The beautiful energy here, like this is exciting. Mars is finally out of shadow phase, finally. So it has spent the last 7 months in the sign of Gemini, which is a long time for Mars to be in one sign. So wherever Gemini is in your birth chart, whatever house it rules over, remember, we have each of these zodiac signs within us. They are all part of us. And when you look at your birth chart, each of these signs rule over a house placement. You may or may not have planets in Gemini, but it is still ruling over a placement in your chart. And that has been very much in focus in a big way over the course of these 7 months. And because Mars has spent so much time in retrograde motion, the shadow phase was also very long, which is the time where it's covering the same degree points. And what that means for us is we tend to be revisiting the same information, the same beliefs, and we're like revisiting the same thing again. But now that it's out of shadow phase, it's like we really feel like the ideas, our ideas are gaining momentum. Our creative projects are gaining momentum. Things are really moving forward. Mars energy ruling Aries is the warrior energy. It wants to move forward. So being in that retrograde motion, it was not happy there, but now it's picking up that momentum again. And what a beautiful time as we begin the astrological new year to feel into the excitement about what you want to create this year, what you want to experience this year, how you are committed to showing up this year. Really, really powerful stuff here. So some other ways you can work with this energy is reflect on the lessons that have come through these past 7 months. There is a theme that's been showing up for you these past 7 months when it comes to communication, when it comes to using the power of your voice. We're looking at Gemini. This is communication. This is about the throat chakra. This is about knowledge, communication, the information that you're learning. There was a theme around these topics that have been emerging for you. What has that lesson been? What has that theme been? What new beliefs are finally being integrated more deeply that are going to support you on this new path? Just feeling into what else came through in this energy, because this is quite significant. Mars finally being out of shadow as we begin this astrological new year. Notice where you may have held back from communicating your truth, from expressing your true self. I often say to my clients, there's layers of visibility. So often when we first start our business and we're putting ourselves out there, it's scary to just share anything. It's scary to write a post, to even share maybe an inspirational quote, because we're afraid of what other people are going to say, how they're going to see us, what they're going to think. And then eventually we begin to move through that. And then the next step may be showing up on video. And maybe that feels really scary, but that's a new level of visibility. But there's always like new levels, there's depths to visibility. So then the question is, are you allowing yourself to be seen for who you really are? Or are you trying to please everybody with your message? Are you trying to dim down your message, modify it so it feels more pleasing rather than just expressing your truth, expressing what you want to say? So Mars and Gemini really speaks to that. Where have you been holding back? Where are you now ready to show up in your full power, in your full truth? What are the blockages that are being released from your throat chakra so you can have that full self-expression? There's also a message I'm feeling from the Akashic records around knowledge and wisdom and the difference of knowing something intellectually versus having something be fully embodied. So notice where you may write off certain information saying, I already know this. I already know this. I've already heard this. But is it embodied? Is it a lived practice in your life? Are you seeing the benefit of that information playing out in your life? That's when you know something is fully embodied for you, is you're actually experiencing a change in your reality. Things are actually shifting for you. There's layers of understanding. So Mars and Gemini is really speaking to that too. And again, the significance of this is that it is out of shadow and that it is the ruler of this new moon energy. So the other thing I want to look at here, there's a few other things jumping out. So Chiron is actually still quite close to Jupiter here. Very close, just a couple degrees apart. Once again, both in the sign of Aries. So Chiron is the wounded healer. It's where we hold insecurities in the sign of Aries. This can be insecurities around how we see ourselves, insecurities around how we present to the world, feelings of being inadequate, feelings of not quite being enough. Jupiter next to Chiron can amplify some of these insecurities. It can amplify where we are still doubting ourselves, where we don't quite feel like we're good enough yet. And it's an opportunity to notice them so you can heal them. That's what Jupiter does. Jupiter is an amplifier. But it's also quite supportive. It like amplifies so we're aware of something. Once we have that awareness, we can then create a change in our life. So this is really key here. I think it speaks to the fact that you don't have to, we've all heard this before, but again, knowing something, hearing something, and having it fully be embodied are two different stories. So you don't have to be perfect to show up and share your message with the world, to share your work with the world. You don't have to be perfect to be lovable, to be worthy. So where are those old stories still playing out of I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I'm not smart enough? Recognize those stories from a place of compassion, but knowing like it's not an ultimate truth. That is just not true. And it doesn't need to hold you back anymore. This is also, this aspect of Jupiter conjunct Chiron in Aries can be very helpful for anybody that's doing healing work in the world. This can help you help others heal with Mercury there through sharing your story, sharing your journey, sharing your knowledge and wisdom to help other people on their healing path. We are all in this together. We are all growing and evolving together. In many ways, we are all here on the planet at the same time because there's soul contracts that we have in one way or another to be incarnated at this time. And there's power in sharing your journey, sharing your story. And that's really going to speak to people that are meant to hear and learn from you. We're all here to learn and hear for one another. So there's a lot of depth to that energy there. Now, the other thing I want to speak to is Venus over here. Venus at 5 degrees in the sign of Taurus, conjunct the North Node over here at 4 degrees of Taurus as well. So this is really interesting. How I see this is at the end of the day, it's that guidance to follow your heart, to have the courage to follow your heart and to follow what lights you up. So this Aries energy is giving us an incredible boost to go forward, to go toward your goals, to remember who you are, what you're capable of achieving. And Venus here in Taurus, conjunct the North Node in Taurus, is reminding you to make sure that you're putting your energy toward things that actually matter to you, that you are actually moving toward the things that light you up. And we know this is about checking in moment to moment and asking yourself, is this recharging me or is this draining me? Does my body expand when I think about this, or does it contract? Our body knows, your intuition knows. It's just about trusting it. Now, also, though, this is about, because some of the shadow energy of Aries is it doesn't necessarily take the time to look at the bigger picture. It's just about go, go, go. Let me take action. Let me do the thing. And it doesn't always see the bigger picture of how it's all playing out. So the message I'm feeling around this from the Akashic records is looking at the long-term consequences of the actions that you're taking today. So it's not just about how you feel in the moment. So an example of this is in the moment, you may not feel like exercising, but you know you're going to be happy you have exercised. In hindsight, you're going to say, I'm happy I exercised, even though I didn't feel like it. I'm happy I showed up and did that video on Facebook, on Instagram, even though I felt scared, even though I didn't feel like it, and my inner critic said, don't do it. I did it anyway. I'm happy I did that. So it's looking beyond our emotions in any given moment to the actions we're taking. Is it moving you closer to your vision or further away? And sometimes the actions feel uncomfortable in the moment, but ultimately it's serving us on a bigger scale. So looking at that as well, I think is really an important reminder in this energy where Aries is very much in focus. It's looking at the bigger picture. This energy is very supportive for us taking action in the moment, but we want to look at the longer term consequences of the actions we're taking today, the decisions we're making today, and being willing to lean into the feeling of being a little on edge or a little uncomfortable because of the results we know it's going to bring long term. Keep that bigger vision in mind, basically, is what I'm saying there. Now, what's really neat as well is Venus in the North Node is forming a sextile with Saturn here. And again, this kind of is bringing a theme of karma in. I love the softness of the energies, though, in the sense of the Piscean and Taurian energy that are also being activated. So how this may also play out is really looking at how your relationships have evolved, even from the beginning of the year to now, like the changes that have been happening in your relationships, because Venus governs relationships. Exploring how those have changed and evolved. Your relationship with money as well. Venus governs over money. And there's like a new path opening up for you in your relationships and with money and abundance. There's a new karmic path here. The work you've been doing is paying off. The things you have been praying for are coming to fruition. But Saturn is always that reminder to do your part. This is not about just sitting around all day on the couch and doing nothing and expecting all our dreams to come to fruition. We get to do our part in this co-creative dance. Saturn brings rewards for the work that we have been willing to put in. And the work is not just the action. Sometimes the work is the rest. It's the healing. Like that actually is the big bulk of the work. In my opinion, it's the mindset work. It's the energetic work. It's the inner healing work. But all that stuff coupled with the willingness to take action, even when it's scary, to courageously lead ourselves, to say yes to where our heart is leading us, especially when it feels scary, because that's where the biggest growth is. The more we're willing to lean out of our comfort zone, the more beauty there is on the other side of that, because the more growth there is that we're stepping into. So really, really fun energies here. Loving this Aries new moon. I'm going to stop the screen share here. So this is actually the first of two new moons that we're going to have in Aries as well. So this energy of the archetypal energy of Aries, the leadership, the confidence, the courage to follow your path, to trust your heart, to look at how you lead yourself is really, really taking the spotlight at this time. So I encourage you to do some reflection around what does that mean for you? How are you leading yourself in your life at this time? So that is our new moon energy. Share with me below what really resonated. Share with me what you are manifesting, new moons, new beginnings. Share with me what you are creating in this next chapter of your journey. I love to hear from you. I love to hold space for you. I'll also attach some helpful links below. So a reminder again, I only have one Instagram account. I'm going to attach it below. There's some spam accounts out there. So my one and only Instagram account, I'll attach it in the link below this video. I'll also share the link on the Divine Creators Inner Circle and my latest program, Call in Your Millionaire Consciousness, in the Akashic Records. So that one is just fire. That course channeled through me so quickly and was like 1000% inspired by the shift of Saturn into Pisces, and really bringing our dreams to reality, really living that abundant life, that luxurious life that we came here to live, that we are destined to live, and doing work in the Akashic records to align with that timeline. So you can check out the details of that below. And I am sending you all so much love. I will see you very soon. Bye for now.